Welcome to the Right to Reason podcast. I am your host, Robert Stanley. This is episode 60, and prepare yourself. We're going to be talking all things flat Earth with our guest, Tyler Kladnoff. Let's get started.
It's the Right to Reason podcast.
It's the motherfucking Right to Reason, bitches.
Conversation that seems to be sprouting up from the soil of social media spreading across the entire globe. From what I've seen, and maybe if you've dabbled in this topic, your experience with flat earthers is similar. The majority of this theory tends to perpetuate itself from a deep distrust for the government, which by itself isn't necessarily unreasonable. Here's Joe Rogan and flat earther Eddie Bravo discussing this very topic.
Are you
saying
not the government? It's not the government.
Oh, whoever, just in general.
It's scientists.
It's all government scientists. You think scientists? You think there's these independent scientists come? It's all government scientists. They're all trying to get their grants. They're all.
Why would you think?
They control. You don't think the globalists haven't controlled science and information since day one?
You
think this is like
Brennan?
a new thing?
Their name, the globalists.
Dude,
if
I'll
they
tell
were
you
the
right
flattest, they would be like, yeah, it's flat.
It's flat.
But they're like, no, fuck these guys. We're globalists.
No, the globalists is what Alex
I feel
calls
like Eddie could
people
flip me if we just spent a day together.
I think you're just trying to make fun.
Hey, I'm just having fun, man. I like finding.
I don't think Eddie's crazy, though.
I don't trust shit coming from the government. Well, does that make me crazy?
But
yes.
The problem
he's got a little too deep, but he's
the
not
problem
crazy.
is this idea of the government. The government consists of a bunch of
They
individuals
control science. They
with
control
100
history.
different agencies. Eddie, do you
Yeah,
know
I
they
got
have
pissed hard.
infighting? Do you know like the CIA and the FBI
Of course
go
they
after
do.
each other?
Of course they do.
There's no one government.
There's a lot of personal shit going on in between. Of course,
But it's not just personal shit. There's a bunch of different factions that you call the government.
I agree.
And the idea that it's
I agree
all
with
like
you.
the government can't be trusted.
I just say that because I'm not going to. I mean, you want me to pick out some agencies? Yeah, NASA. I could pick out some NIST. But just in general, it's history, science, education, energy. Everything has always been controlled by the government since day one. Radio has been used as propaganda since the day it was invented. You think some independent dude just invented radio and then he started broadcasting like his favorite music and shit and his thoughts? No, it was the government from day one in radio. It was the government in all countries from day one in TV, in the movies. It was all radio, TV, and the movies have always been about propaganda. Always in every country. It's nothing new. It's old school gangsters. Our country is the most
What does this have
gangster.
to do with? What does this have to do with the world being
No,
flat?
this is how gangster our government is. There was a war on drugs. We started a war on drugs. Turns out we're bringing it in. Then there's a war on terrorism. Turns out we created Al Qaeda. You understand why I'm crazy? I'm crazy because of that shit. I'm like, you could believe that shit. You want to believe that shit?
But the
Good luck,
problem
but
is
I ain't.
that you just apply this to everything.
Basically, anything
Even
coming from the
dinosaurs.
government. Anything coming from the government.
The dinosaurs don't come from the government.
Just there's so much fraud when you look into it. I'm like, I
Astronomy
don't
doesn't
trust
come from the
shit.
government. It comes from scientists.
Look into it, man.
But Eddie, I have looked into it. Look, these are all
Dinosaurs
My name is Tyler Kladnoff, and the Earth actually is flat. You should take this seriously, and you have the right to reason about everything, especially the shape of the Earth, because they're lying about that. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you.
This episode of the Right to Reason podcast is brought to you by Phil Calderone, My Humble Assault, Enema Man, Larry Wilson, Gregoria, and Bernard Lamberell. If you want to support the broadcast, you could do so at patreon.com/right. Contributors to this episode are Jason Como from aloststateofmind.com and me, Dave Blair. You can get a free song of mine at davefreesong.com/free music. If you believe in the message of the right to reason but can't volunteer or contribute financially, you can still help by sharing it with your friends, giving it a rating on iTunes, subscribing to it on YouTube, following it on Twitter at Right to Reason 1, and following the Right to Reason page on Facebook. You can also write into the show and have your ideas read on air by clicking our contact link at therighttoreason.com. Thank you to our community of listeners for supporting your right to reason.
Today we're talking to Tyler Klatnoff, a flat earther. Tyler, happy to have you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. So tell us about your educational background. Tell us what you do. Let us understand who you are a little bit. Maybe what would be really cool is for you to tell us how you got this crazy idea that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, I will.
And one thing I just want to end on one quick comment. The whole flat earth thing all boils down to evidence of curvature or not. There appears to be no evidence of any curve or motion. So if you guys can find some curve or motion, go out there and film it, and you can be famous for ending the whole flat earth thing. So that's all it'll do it. Curve or motion, film it.
Would you believe it if you saw it?
Yeah, definitely. I would have to see it a couple times, and I'd have to probably do it myself. I'd see how they filmed it, and then go out there and do that myself.
What if it was something you can't do yourself?
Then I probably would be very suspicious of it.
So whenever it comes to things that we have to do as a community that you can't prove yourself, like you can't go to the moon. So if you see someone go to the moon, you just can't believe it based on your what would you call that? The way that you process information. You reject any information that you can't prove yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. Because people lie.
I think that
lie.
That limits you, man. I think that limits how much information you're going to be able to receive, because some shit we got to work together on, you know?
Yeah, and I guess all I can do is look at all the stuff that all the people think and then weigh it all. So a lot more, and I'm not closed off, I just don't believe it. I understand it. The goal is to understand everything and believe nothing. To be able to explain any side of any argument better than anyone, essentially, even if you don't believe it, which I don't believe anything. Believe nothing, question everything.
Thanks for your time today, man.
Yeah, it was great.
And all the science I don't understand. It's just my job 5 days